Hello and welcome to this short presentation from myself. I'm David Evans, the Global IoT Solution Architect at Robustel Technologies. And today we're going to talk about smart roaming, a slightly different side of the technology in LoRaWAN and LoRaWAN Gateways, but hopefully something that could prove to be very useful if cellular backhaul becomes a critical part of your next project. So just to put a context to this presentation, I wanted to share with you a little of the history of the product or products that we're describing today. So the R3000 LG, as you can see, is quite a classic light industrial grade indoor router slash gateway, in fact. And its history is as a router for six to 7 years now. It's been part of Robustel's portfolio, and it was about 3 or 4 years ago that the add-in of an SX1301, the Semtech 8-channel chip, having Robustos, which is the operating system we'll come on to a little bit more, that gives you the R3000 LG. And I think by already having tens of thousands of 3G as it was, or 4G routers in the same style, already 80% of the bill of materials was going out of the factory in volume. So this really helps with quality, with yield, and obviously with cost as well, especially on the more expensive cellular components. So that's the core product that we're talking about today. And just for completeness, there is an outdoor variant. It's the same electronics inside, but as you would expect, PoE for easy outdoor installation, and the various considerations, sealing to IP67, breathing caps and the like. And we talk about at the bottom there an extensive unique software features, and that's really where today's conversation is positioned, about one of those features. So within all of the Robustel products, there is a Linux-based operating system called Robustos, and it was developed around 5 or 6 years ago in-house at Robustel HQ. And one thing that certainly helps me to know exactly where the clever guy and his team that was responsible for the 110,000 lines of source code, still are within the business and building more and more new products on the platform, and obviously beating the bugs out for 5 years of the existing environment means it's a pretty impressive, stable product. And just a note to say that it has been Deloitte audited, and there's been pen tested by various other organizations around the world to do the usual checks for security and backdoors and the like. So within the operating system in all devices, including the LoRa gateways, there is the ability to transmit information to the cloud. Obviously, it's not a new thing, but quite a well executed thing, using Microsoft Azure IoT Hub as the hosting environment, and many of the features in Microsoft Azure. Transmitting that information over MQTT gives a very sound management environment for the gateways, as you can see with the usual information that you would expect over-the-air upgrades and maps and the like. Another feature, just before we get into the main topic, that I think is worth mentioning is robust VPN. So by virtue of having a service in Azure, Robustos are able to host their own VPN service, which basically marries together an inbound VPN from the gateway and an outbound VPN from a user, typically in a Windows environment. And so some of you will probably be familiar with the concept of fixed IP SIMs. Well, this just gives you a fixed IP gateway. So whether the bearer is Ethernet, Wi-Fi or 4G, it doesn't matter how the traffic is getting out onto the public internet, the ability to build the VPN over the top, take care of all the certificates and keys under the bonnet, and just keep it validation as simple Office 365 credentials based for the software. Not important to everyone, but certainly if you want to do maintenance with a gateway or gateways regularly, or if you want to talk to something connected to the gateway, so an Ethernet or a serial device as part of the overall deployment, if it's not just 868 or 915 meg radio, if there's wired devices as well, it could prove to be very useful. So this is just to give you a flavour of some of the things that have been evolving in Robustos. But the one we're covering today is smart roaming. And the actual history to smart roaming, well, part of the history of smart roaming comes from a previous role that I had as working for a SIM card company, majoring on providing roaming SIMs for maximum resilience, and seeing some of the challenges and the pain points for customers that had chosen to go down that path, but didn't necessarily understand exactly what they were dealing with. And that's what smart roaming is designed to help with, ultimately, with the resilience of estates of deployed LoRaWAN gateways. So why are we talking about this today? I thought it was very important to put a context to this presentation, and it's really, really simple, but often glossed over or ignored or not considered, is that 3G, 4G comms from a gateway can be a fairly significant point of failure. So as you can see in the picture, if you lose the backhaul, in most integrations, or in many integrations, certainly using a standard LoRaWAN network server in the cloud, you can lose everything, or certainly everything from one site. So it's important to make the backhaul as resilient as possible. And that is why we're talking about smart roaming today. So I was hoping to do a live demo, but because it's not a long session at all, and some of this takes time, I thought I would take some screenshots so we can move through it at a good pace. So when the gateway boots, as you can see, the status of smart roaming is scanning, and the operator selection mode is pending. Now, these are terminologies that, for brevity, won't be covered in the full, won't be covered today, but we do have an extensive white paper we'll allude to at the end that can give you the detail if this is the sort of subject that represents value in your deployments. So the first thing that the device will do is populate the operator list. So this is done at boot time. It will cost about 1.5 minutes for that to be performed and populated. And you'll notice the status against all these networks is visible. And that's important. It's not a technical terminology, but they're all, from a radio perspective, they are visible from that location. And I say that because not all roaming SIMs provide all network connections for commercial reasons, typically. So that's what's visible. And then a little longer, you'll see the elegance of smart roaming is to leave the operator selection mode as automatic for as much as possible. And again, this is described in the white paper that you can follow up with. And if you are involved in cellular comms, whether it's LoRa or not LoRa, I think is a very good read. I highly recommend you have a look. So you can see that it's connected, it's on automatic, we've got good signal strength, reasonable latency, and no packet loss. So it's just going to stay there and do what it does. And 95% of the time, a roaming SIM and a gateway will perform like this. But in the instance that it doesn't, and it is quite a hard thing to manually recreate, that's why this is not quite a perfect example here. It's quite hard to dynamically disallow network operators from a roaming scheme to force smart roaming into action. But I think you get an idea from those top two lines that if Vodafone UK on 3G has failed, then the algorithm will step through current subsequent networks. So it's currently on O2 making an assessment of the connection. So I think anecdotally, there's a really nice example here where our friends at Wojtek in the UK, during 2018, O2 Telefonica experienced quite a significant outage in the UK, and around 20 devices had been camped on the O2 network. And because of this technology, every one of those devices moved away. And if you do read the white paper, you'll see that sometimes that process is not endemic in automatic network selection, so it won't actually move to a different network. 2021, that was on a 3G setup. Now 4G are the mainstay. Smart roaming is still doing its thing, and delighted to say that Wojtek is still getting some surety from having smart roaming on the gateways. In fact, it's probably just briefly worth mentioning for anyone in BMS or HVAC that the environment that these guys facilitate is any LoRa sensor can become part of a building management system, HVAC system, anything of that ilk, especially where traditionally BACnet is a desirable interface. So a LoRa sensor can become a BACnet object in that environment, and we're very proud to be part of that really quite complex, clever and powerful solution provided by the guys at Wojtek using their SiteLink product. And so time is nearly up. It went very quick, but hopefully you get an idea of what we're trying to offer here is improved resilience for your backhaul, and highly recommend you go to robustel.com, download the white paper from the resources section on the left hand side if you want to get more information, or of course you can speak to myself or any of the Robustel team if you want to learn more about the technology or how you might trial it. Thanks very much. Bye for now.